Long ago, the world was undergoing climate collapse. As the seas rose to eat the shoreline, they ruined crops, ate away at buildings, boiled drinking water, released diseases, killed animals, and caused the complete and coordinated collapse of the systems that were, until the sorceress proposed the satellite. Many had tried to geoengineer before, but all had failed. The satellite looked more plausible, not least because its inventor had magic. All that we had to do was bottle our local climate disasters in magically enforced capsules and send them to the tower. At the tower, disasters of a common nature were merged together. The floods of Manila with the floods of Bombay, doubly sealed with the sorceress magic, and sent to space where the satellites stored them until they could be dealt with. It took years. People died even as the plan started to work and the collapse slowed. Meanwhile, the sorceress was losing her magic, and so she sat down to writing the rest of the plan. Each year, when the satellite came into orbit over the tower, it would drop one climate disaster back to Earth, and the citizens of the land would have to contend with it once and for fun. At least this way, they didn't have all their monsters raging at the same time. This way, they had a year to prepare for the drop. She wrote extensive plans for how to prepare, what crops to sow the year before a drought was due, what materials to make houses of when the wildfire was approaching, how to take apart toxic waste. And finally, she sent the last of her magic to ensure that the satellite stayed in orbit for as many years as there were monsters. And then her magic ended. Her only request was that no one may know her name. Irrelevant, she said, if we put our pride in the plan and not in the planner. This is Evertown, and you are its citizens.
Essentially, since the satellite entered orbit, in the lands left behind in what used to be Southeast Asia, we find ourselves in the peninsula of Evertown. It is 7 a.m. in the morning. Far in the east, a gentle sun rises lightly, lighting up the dew in the land and starting a breeze that sweeps across the southern desert lands. In the desert, it is hot, dusty, crisp and dry, just as the ranger sitting on the fence of the Pakshi Ranch likes it. Vasudha, could you describe the character for everybody?
Yes, my character's name is Solar, an Eladrin, a summer Eladrin, Swarmkeeper Ranger. And the most outstanding feature about Solar is the hair on his head. It is shaped, its intricate braids made to look like a beehive. Maybe if you look close enough, you may see some honey dripping out from places, and random twigs that he's caught from running around in the hair. He has a name for this beautiful swarm place, Byzantine. So might sometimes refer to it, and with no reference whatsoever for others, know what he's talking about. Where on earth is Byzantine? It's on his head.
How many occupants does Byzantine have right now?
Currently 623.
What?
Yes.
Okay, that changes things. Okay. What is your carrying capacity? But I guess they're fine. Okay, cool. What's Solar feeling like just sitting on the fence of the Pakshi Ranch and at his job essentially, looking out for the Pakshis, taking care of them? This is second nature to you at this point. Yeah, but it's early morning. What do you feel like?
He's just relaxing for a second, just breathing in the desert air, and it's like, one more great day. I will have a fantastic run. Maybe I should be checking in with the Pakshis. I haven't had a conversation with them in a while. Yeah. It's just contemplative, thinking over what's going to come during the day, excited for a few new projects that he's thinking of starting. So yeah, that's how he's feeling.
As you sit there and think about it, one leg thrown over the fence, A familiar figure, quite short, an elderly man, bumbles in from behind. He's got taut pink skin, he's got a few tufts of green hair, and he's wearing a black and mustard sarong. You know him pretty well, that's Nick, that's your roommate. You can both look at it, or also you can keep it at the front of the table, anywhere you want. Yeah, Nick, who is your roommate and also just a friend from a different age group that you talk to a lot about pakshis. He bumbles in, he knows exactly where to. Oh, they're there? Cool, yeah. They come in and they know exactly where to find you in the morning. And they approach you and just ask, and so are all of them here today?
Papu, Papi and others?
You still call them others? You have names for all 623 bees.
Oh, you were talking about the bees? No, I was talking about
No,
the pakshis.
pakshis, there are fewer, you should have the names.
You want me to rattle off all of them?
Yes.
Papu, Papi, Papina, Para, Parisa, Paras, Farina, Pairas, Napara.
Napara?
Yeah, the pie is still there.
But it's like, it doesn't start with it. Doesn't she feel left out?
Different family.
Oh. Doesn't she feel left out?
Different family. So
Yeah,
there's
but
Napara and Sara. So nice Sara.
Okay, that's 10. There's 10 more to go. Don't tell me you didn't finish naming that. 623 bees have their name and you call them by first name and last name.
How about you help me out then?
I named the bees for you, I'm done.
Really? Just that much?
Just that much? It took me a full year. I missed the drop when that happened. I missed a drop, Solar. Almost lost my apprenticeship. How will this work out?
Well, it's okay. I won't name the ones I talked to. The others are a bit standoffish.
Really, efficiency is quite the key. There is synergy to things. A way things must be, you know, and he's wagging his finger at you while he's saying all this. Yeah.
It's just like, Mick, you know, you have a fantastic way of making me tired very early in the morning.
Hey, no, you can't sleep already.
I just woke up, I know.
Yeah, sleep is for the weak.
I don't sleep usually, but I don't think that's true.
You see, he like leans up on tiptoes and tries to peek inside bees in time. And he's trying to talk to all the bees, but he doesn't know how to talk to them, so he's just going.
Are you just making buzzing noises near my head right now?
So what do you do?
Well, I don't know. I just tell them what I think about what I want them to do. I say it out loud in words, and they do it.
Well, tell them to be more productive than you. So,
Don't worry, they're usually quite productive. Imagine they're making honey all the time.
just honey though, we've been trying to make this the variant that works with diabetes. What happened to that? You need to upskill.
I did not know we would go in commercial with this product.
What do you mean commercial? There's no money here.
Well, yeah, but we're not giving it away to others.
But you gotta upskill. You gotta be relevant at every time. That's what I learned. I haven't done that yet.
Well, come back to me when you have.
You see, he wait. Sorry, they did this. Cool. You see, they pull a typewriter, a very old one that they have repaired, up from their
Oh,
rack.
that one's so cool.
And it has papers jammed inside. And you know that Nick has recently taken a visiting class. So this is what Nick uses for their spell book. And Nick immediately starts taking notes and is like, but why upskill? And
But why be relevant?
but why be relevant?
Yes. Who decides what's relevant?
Oh, isn't that curious? I was blown away.
How did they?
And they turn around and start to hurry up all the way to the other tower, to the top of Evertown, to get their answers to these imperative questions. Is there anything else you want to say to Mick before I cut away? No? Okay. As Mick walks off northward, you see they were munching on a dragon fruit while they walked. And they just threw the peels of it on the way. And it hits quite the ground that the pakshis covered anyway, and they will finish it off. But he's noticed something strange today. Give me a perception.
That's not one.
That
What's wrong with it?
one, Mick ate the peel. There was no peel that was thrown, and we just like, weren't you just eating a fruit? And Mick is leaving. If there's anything you want to do, I can pause, but.
It's like, did you eat the peel of the dragon fruit as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see the peel. What did you do with the peel? You ate it? Was it good? Didn't you say good? Maybe I should try eating the dragon fruit peel.
It's right here.
Where?
Now that you look for it, you see the peel, spiky, and its pink glory is lying on the ground in the dust. Give me one more perception check. This time with advantage. You can't help another nat one.
16 plus perception 16 plus 6
22. Solar. Within seconds of that peel touching the ground and you finally seeing it this time, it decomposes, becomes dark brown, almost like the soil, and becomes a heap. A wind passes and it's gone. And Mick is wandering away towards the Evertown.
Is that normal in Evertown?
It's not normal anymore.
It's like, was I sleeping? This has never happened before.
As Mick walks off northward to the Elder Tower, in the thick of the forest, we see tents hanging from trees and nestled into their cozy nooks. It's dewy and perpetually smells of grass here. Specifically, we are at the learning huts, where an entire section has been greenscaped over the night. It's a beautiful job, but a single furbog stands perplexed, looking at a series of handmade posters that have been tacked and tied to the leaves of his greenscaping, definitely not where they were meant to be. Darren, could you tell us about Crem and what he's feeling in the moment?
Yeah, so I play a football called Crem. It's an average size football, 200 meters, but he's 2 meters tall, 200 cm tall, weighs about 120 kg. He's quite big compared to human size. He has light grey skin, dark brown hair. Basically a tuft of hair growing on his head and a much more smaller tuft growing on his chin.
Yeah.
He carries a stick that he uses mostly to walk, help with his walking, that is made of sort of nice intricate wood carving with some little tufts of leaves growing up on the top of it. And he wears this very heavy looking vest. Right now, I'm trying to figure out what these posters are.
Yeah, you go closer to one of them and it says, Fira's drop seminars today, midday, right here.
Is that the Fira, the Azoris sister Fira?
Yeah,
I'm thinking,
and there's definitely, they were not supposed to be here when you got the task to greenscape the living huts.
Right. So the posters are not sort of part of the job, right?
They've just been added later.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do I know what Fira does?
Fira has interest in almost everything, and lately what Fira has been doing is molding clay into looking like the drop capsules, like the monsters that come every year over orbit into Evertown and get dropped. And those capsules is what Fira mimics, and teaches other people to do as well as a celebration of the culture.
Right. So it looks like I look at this and I think of Fira essentially just chasing after what the next big thing that occupies her. And I think, that escalated quickly. I pull out my phone and I call Zhong.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, I'm down at the learning huts and I see something about Fira running a drop seminar.
She has gotten so knowledgeable. Like when she gets into something, she really gets into it. She's learning all about the history of the drops. She's made a bunch of dioramas in her home. They're in the living room.
Cool. Is she working with the elders for this?
As you ask, you hear a laughter behind you, Crem. And you turn around, Azu, and you see a little bit in the distance, near where the other learning huts are, is Sauna, the warlock historian who keeps the memory of pre-satellite times alive. She catches your eye, and you're still on the phone. But she looks at you and she says, would you walk with me?
Sure. I tell her, he's alright. Samna just walk by. I'll call you again. And I go home Samna.
Cool. So Samna is this about middle-aged brown woman whose eyes are perpetually white because she is constantly keeping the memory of pre-satellite times alive and running in her mind. You all know that costs her personal memory. So she doesn't know her history, she doesn't even know her name. So people of Evertown know her name Samna, but when you want to talk to her, you just say Warlock. And she is coming by, and while she walks, she's constantly spooling this golden thread, and she says it helps her like hold the history in place, but you've never figured out what it does. She walks towards you, and she looks at one of these posters and she says, she's a clever one. She's 15 and she asks splendid questions. The trade-off is you need so many answers.
Yes, that does sound like fear.
Yeah.
I reach into my hip flask of coffee and I just so I tend, if when someone goes by, I tend to pass her coffee. But today I'm not ready. So I just pick from my store and go like, hey, sorry, I didn't have coffee like ready for you today, but I have something.
She looks at few and coffee beans that are just tucked away randomly in your attire, and she picks one up. And she just looks at it for a second, and then turns it around in her hand and lets it float up for a second. And she says, "Do you know we almost lost these?"
What?
And it goes around her hand, and she just picks it up and gives it back to you.
I pick it up, I look at it and go, we almost lost this.
If we didn't put a dozen monsters into the satellite, they would have wiped out coffee as we knew it.
Oh, that wouldn't be a life worth living.
A lot of people didn't get to live a life worth coffee. And for someone, you realize for someone who constantly carries the memory of mass extinction, of like millions of people dying, she's constantly smiling. And you notice that she can tell everything around her immediately sparks a memory. This used to be things in the past. This used to be a different version. This is somebody who was an activist, who fought shoulder to shoulder with the sorceress herself in pre-satellite times, and who often lectures and who often shares the knowledge of history in those days. But for some reason, is just never sad or disillusioned about any of it. And she's starting to walk and goes beyond the learning huts. And one of those is hers, where she often talks about these memories. And she looks at you and she says, "I've often wondered though, you develop the newer forms of laser tech, and you make coffee, and you're always awake when I'm going around here. How do you stay awake?"
How do I stay awake? Well, coffee helps. Also, I like the night, so I actually, it's about bedtime for me at the moment. I'm not very awake. I usually sleep by now, and I wake up again about 4 or 5.
Oh, indeed, it is 7 a.m. This last piece of business, this cleaning up the greenscaping is what you have to do, and then it's breakfast and time for bed is what your plan was. And she looks at you and she says, "There was a time when people who did that, people who stayed up all night, were the nerds or the rejects, or people who just didn't fit in, who couldn't go out when it was bright. But you're so popular, everybody knows the truth of stars. And you choose this. Makes me wonder how far we've truly come post the satellite."
I would say, I guess many people do know the Druid of Stars, but I'm not so sure how many people know Crem.
It's true. Give me an inside check.
That's and that is 23.
How much?
23.
Oh, okay. That took it up. Okay, it's fine. That happens. Druids. Okay, so
Situation.
as you mentioned that fact that many people know what your title is or what you're known for as one of a kind of, but don't know what your name is, don't know what your personal history is, you realize for a second that she is aware of the fact that she doesn't know who she is. She doesn't know her name. She doesn't know where she came from. She just knows everything that has to do with how Evertown came to be. So she knows the fight. She knows what it took to get here. She knows that it's been a century of her just reliving those memories and trying to keep Evertown existing. And for a second you see her shake, like somebody who knows the importance of history, realizing they don't have personal history, just reckoning with that for a second, and then she remembers joy. And she looks at you and she says, there's many ways to know a thing. There used to be a lot more land to travel, a lot gentler ocean. But the one we have is the one that lets us live. I guess this is a world worth knowing. And you know she's starting to just talk to herself now, and not really noticing whether you're following or not, but starts to drift away into the forest. But please continue if you wanted to talk to her.
As she drifts away, I call out Warlock Samna. She turn around.
She does.
That coffee bean that she gave me,
Yeah.
I hold it in my palm and snap my fingers. I cast Druidcraft. As I open the coffee bean sprouts into a coffee flower.
Oh, shit.
I hand it to her and I say, thank you for remembering first.
She takes it and she said, and the hysteria of it all is that it was entirely avoidable. She takes the flower and she starts to walk away into the forest. Further along the road that Crem and the warlock were walking, we see shining in the sunlight beside the druid's farm plots is the orana. Now, an orana, as we all know, is a popular fruit that is soft about halfway through the bite and suddenly you cut into the juicy pulpy bits. And then hundreds of these yellow fruit hang from frail tendrils on the inside of the dome, which then go right through the earthen dome, and they become thick, mesh, nebulous all along the outer surface, which of course the citizens of Evertown immediately repurpose into hammocks. Even now, as we look, a crew of maybe 20 divers is slumbering in these hammocks, and among them, a young water genasi. Neil, could you introduce us to your character?
Azoris is a water genasi with icy blue skin. He's got this rich azure hair that's swept back and is perpetually a little bit wet, slippery. He wraps himself in forest leaves and his body is covered in stick and poke tattoos that are abstract but that remind him of waves.
Azoris, like his friends from the divers crew, it's 7 a.m. It's not time to be awake yet, but you have just gotten a call from Crem that woke you up. How is Azoris feeling?
Man, I stayed up so late last night. Oh, Crem usually waits until like noon for his calls. But it's always good to hear from an old friend. And I look around to see if I see Krugbod near me.
Absolutely. In the hammock right above you and to the side, you see this green-skinned orc who perpetually wears his diver's glasses on top of his on his forehead at all times, and he has long frog-like legs, and he's tattoos of a starfish on flames on one hand and of a water hose that is surrounded by ocean waves on the other. And as you think about this call and what the tragedy of the timing, Krug actually leans down and says, "Hey man, how's it going? Why are you awake?"
I look over him and I'm like, this isn't relevant to your question, but whoever does your tattoos, like, I feel like I need to get in touch with them. Those really speak to me. Did you do those yourself, or?
That is Krug, and you can put it up wherever you want him. So cool. Yep.
Those are awesome tattoos.
He looks at you and he's like, "What are you saying, man? I did yours, you did mine. What are you talking about?
Whoa, I forgot how good taste I have. The starfish was, I think, my greatest work. My Sistine Chapel.
What? The Sistine Chapel? Is that something I did?
I think so. It was like a long time ago. Somebody did some really good paintings. It might have been you. That makes sense.
It should have been me.
You're a really good
Right?
painter. And you're a really good diver. Man, yesterday we saw some incredible coral, right?
What day is it now?
Like the day after yesterday.
That one, yes. We did see coral yesterday. Where did we put them?
What the? Man, they're in the ocean. You don't put them anywhere. You look at them.
Yeah, that's right. Give me an insight check. And you can also give me a medicine check.
Insight first. 26.
Okay.
Medicine. 14.
Medicine 14. Okay. You haven't tested this, but you have a feeling that the Orana Dome has some natural melatonin properties that make Krug even more sleepy than he generally is. Yeah. And that might be coming into effect in this conversation right now, but it's Krug.
Absolutely. I personally feel so happy to be in this dome as well because I'm like, dude, it's not right that I'm awake right now, but all this melatonin is going to help us go back to sleep.
Yeah. And do you wish for that? Do you want to go back to sleep?
I think I would try to go back to sleep and then like wake up in a couple hours.
Okay, yeah. So you try to drift back to sleep. Krug gets it immediately. He puts his arm back into his own hammock and he's just like, man, we should go check out this coral again today.
Like, yeah, that's right. And like, I don't want you to misunderstand me, man. Just because I'm trying to go to sleep doesn't mean I can't talk to you.
That's true. Why can't we talk to you, me and your sister? And you see that Krug is just leaning over the hammock and looking at the ground.
I lean over to see what he's looking at.
Yeah, so Freya is standing there. She is holding a ceramic replica of the drop capsule that you're very familiar with, having participated in the drop many times before. And she's looking up urgently at you. And she's like, just time!
Does it have to be though? Could it be like time in a couple hours?
It shall be time again in a couple hours. But you need to take me to my class. I'm holding a class on earth molding. Hello?
Okay. I'm up, sort of. Let's go. And I hop down, like very slowly, like someone 3 times this age, and I make my way down and start escorting her to where she's doing her class.
Yeah, you slip down from the rude hammocks and you start to take Freya westward towards where the learning huts are. Is there anything you want to say to her before?
I'm like, Freya, I don't get it. You wake up so early, and teenagers are supposed to sleep more. You need more rest.
Are we supposed to sleep at night? Question mark?
No, I feel like it's... You don't have to say your punctuation. I get it.
Okay.
I get it.
It don't be like that.
Just
Don't
observation.
get it.
All right, no, it's cool. If you want to say your punctuation comma, then we could totally do that, period. But yeah, it's, no, I think you can sleep whenever you want. Like if you want to have an 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. sleep schedule, that totally works because, you'll be up just in time to taste Dad's cooking.
About Dad's cooking. So this one that I made today, I mean, technically, it don't be about Dad's cooking, but it be about Dad. So he came in late last night, which you wouldn't know because you were sleeping, right? And he didn't cook, and I just had to keep myself occupied. So I took in all the mud that he tracked in, and I made this.
And I'm looking at the dome that she created.
The capsule. Yeah.
That's such a good use of mud. Mud has so many uses, right? You can make like hats, you can make earpieces, you can make wrist pieces, really a lot of jewelry options. But no, this is great. This is educational. People don't
It's
learn
true,
so much
I'm a
from
teacher
class.
now.
You are a teacher.
Or I will be in as soon as we get to the learning huts.
You've been teaching me since the day you were born, Fira, truly. You've been a teacher for 15 years.
It is true. And she just skips off towards the learning huts where she knows exactly where she has to go, but you are on chaperone duty. You slip down from the rude hammocks and start to take Fira westward towards the learning huts where she has a class later on. But smack in the center of Evertown and perched on a wooden platform maybe 20 feet in the canopy is a young athlete and her new apprentice who seem to be practicing patience. Neither of them move at all, staring ahead at the trees across, in their own version of meditation, devised specifically to get the apprentice to sit quietly. Beatrice, could you introduce us to your character, please?
My character is Nalassava here. She is a UMP paladin, oath of the ancients. And so at first glance, she is quite unassuming because she's of average height, but she has very big arms. And she likes to wave around her warhammer, which is very intimidating because it is fashioned after the head of an ostrich.
Ooh.
Yes. And she has a huge shield, which can also expand into a skateboard that she likes to use to show off and move. She has war paint around her eyes, red color, which is actually from the juice of berries, but she thinks that it makes her look cool. So she's an obstacle trainer. She likes birds. She likes bird watching. She spends a lot of time in the forest.
I'm going to ask you to do something now. You're going to role play in real life this test of patience. So neither you nor I can move. I am your apprentice, Roshan, and you are Nalassava, the UNT paladin of the trees. Okay, so pick your position, and if you move, you lose. Got it? I do have to speak and read things out, so I will move my head, but nothing else. Okay, cool. 5 minutes pass. Neither Roshan nor Nalassava move in their perches. Where are you looking at this point?
My eyes alternate between the trees in front and at Roshan.
Okay. You see, many times when you look at Roshan, she's looking at you, and she wants to squint and give you the stinky eye, but she doesn't know if that will count as a fault in the test of patience. And you see all this on her face because you've been apprenticing her for 3 weeks now. Is there anything you say to her?
I know you're trying to give me the squinty eye.
What is a squinty eye?
Why will you narrow your eyes when you think I'm not looking?
I don't narrow my eyes. What does narrowing your eyes look like? Can you show me?
Or maybe you could try moving your eyes in certain ways and I could tell you whether it's narrowing your eyes or not.
You can tell that both of you are testing each other, trying to see if the other will crack. You kind of have to move for this, so give me a perception check. You can break for it, yeah?
$15.
15? Okay, back. As you're talking to Roshan, out of the corner of your eye and the base of the tree that you're sitting on, you see a child in pajamas and a bright red coat on the ground. And they have just run top speed with a white box into the trunk and fallen down with the box next to them on the ground now. Is there anything you do?
Okay, this is an emergency, but so it doesn't count. And I go towards the child.
You move and Roshan's like, I win! I do win this! This is a win for me. This has to be a win
Doesn't
for
count.
Roshan.
doesn't count.
She's trailing behind you as you start to hop down and go to the bottom. She is constantly just saying, that is 3-0 for Rosalind. 3 and no.
Sure.
And you both trot down to the base of the tree. What do you want to do?
You said that was a child?
There's a child who's fallen there. Yeah.
Okay. I go over to just take a look.
Okay. As you follow, Rosalind hides a little bit in her coat, which also like has its collar up. That makes it seem like most of her face except her eyes is perpetually hiding, and that makes her eyes look even bigger. And you can have that.
That's adorable.
This is Rosalind. Yeah. And at the base of the tree, you see this child who you also know from meeting at the Sunken Coast Museum, the Sunken City Museum a few weeks ago, right about the same time as you picked up Rosalind as your apprentice. This is Amirul. And Amirul is lying flat on the ground and is groaning a little bit, but is not moving too much. What do you say? Or do?
Are you okay?
A messy head of yellowish brown hair just pops up and he says, I got my plants needed some exercise. So I was taking them for a run.
Oh, your coffee plants.
My coffee plants! You know about my coffee plants!
Right, the ones in the sea?
Yeah! And you see immediately next to him the white box has flipped open a little bit and some of the water is coming out. And there are indeed coffee beans glued onto that plant. He looks at you and he says, Experiment 1 was in the sea, near where the jellyfish farms are, but then Stars, the druid of Crem, said I should try it in a container first.
So you stuck coffee beans on a plant?
He immediately puts his box upright, and you can tell it's a hydroponic system. He's trying to grow the plants in a container with water instead of soil. And he just looks at it and says, Exactly! And this is Amro.
Oh my god!
That's cool.
She's taking his plans for a run.
There was a lot happening, so I forgot Samna, but that is Samna.
Okay,
We
Samna.
definitely have big more on Samna.
Oh my
Do you want
god.
to turn it back for a second?
Yeah.
I mean, good. In fact, now that we are appreciating the art for a second, I would like you all to please choose your dice for the day and put it where you are in the world.
I think it's golden.
Yeah. So I would say Azoris is about here, walking away from the Orana Dome. Say Nalassava is about here, in the obstacle course here. Crem, I would say you're near the learning huts here. And you followed Mick a little bit to the north, so I would say here. Ooh! Don't look at it.
Did not.
It's gonna happen a couple more times, but roll with it.
Can
Okay.
you get something for a second?
Yeah.
Amazing.
You talk to Amirul, and he's very excited to tell you about his hydroponics project of liquid coffee. And immediately, the moment he realizes that you're interested in learning, he's just like, why must we have coffee beans grow as coffee beans? If they just grow as in water, then you could have liquid coffee and you could just drink it from the plant, like that.
Have you talked to Crem about that?
Crem said I should try it in a container. So he gave me this box instead of the sea. I did, and you see he puts the box down and immediately rubs his hands over the plant and it's just, and he makes that sound because he thinks that's what magic sounds like. And expects to see one of these coffee beans immediately be part of the plant naturally and bloom, but it doesn't happen. You see, Rosalind is intrigued by all of this. And from behind you, Rosalind peeks out a little bit and says, you're very smart. And she takes a step forward. So she's basically between you and Amirul, and you cut out the conversation immediately. And she said, "Can I run with you? I started an apprenticeship under the UNT Paladin of the Trees. I can show you around the obstacle course. I'm a protege, and when she dies, I inherit everything. Come."
That's not how it works.
Roslyn has taken Amirul's hand. Amirul just basically grabs the hydroponics box with her and is being dragged away. And Roslyn is like, "This is where you start." And it's showing the obstacle course a little by little. Do you want to say something to them?
I'm like, try not to run into any more trees.
Give me a perception check.
17.
The 17. As you say, try not to run into any more trees. Roslyn immediately puts one leg on the lowest part of the tree, the lowest part of the trunk where it's strong, and her foot goes through it. Her foot just goes into the tree, and she stumbles a little bit. And Amirul is already holding her hand, so he catches her from falling, and she looks back, mostly just embarrassed that she was caught immediately when you said don't get caught or don't fall from the trees, and hurries away. Is there anything you wanted to do at this point?
Can I go over to the part where her foot went in?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that's a health hazard. For my obstacle course.
Definitely. This is a thick tree, but it was brittle like that.
It's not supposed to be.
Yeah. Give me, in fact, a nature check.
Okay. 14.
There is no version of the world in which it should be brittle and it can be explained. You think this is not normal. Is there anything else you want to do? As the kids just
I
go
text Crem. I'm like, your apprentice is with my apprentice now, and he thinks that coffee beans can grow in containers. Question mark, question mark, question mark.
In this house, we mention our punctuations.
So as I'm walking, I pull out my phone, it's text from Nalassava, and I text back. Yeah, is it working yet? Question mark, question mark.
No, he stuck the beans on some plant. 2 exclamation marks.
Cool. Let him know that I can't make coffee brewing today. Come tomorrow. And good luck with the hydroponics, as you call it.
Yeah, pretty good. Is anybody thinking of a scene right now that they want to run? As you trailed off northward and you were just looking at Mick walk away immediately in that sense, or as you take Fira to where her class is going to be soon, or as you get confirmation from Crem that this is indeed an experiment everyone is doing, or as you have just spoken to Azoris and Nalassava about what they're doing right now. Yeah.
I'm intrigued by this new thing that I saw. I'm convinced that I was want to see. So I want to go get more fruit from somewhere and eat the fruit and try this again and see if it works.
Sure, you are in the desert, southern deserts, and you know them pretty well. Where do you want to go to get fruit?
I know them pretty well. Can I first go to the Oranadam is here, right? Or here?
The Orlando is this one, the yellow
What's
one.
this again?
That's the resource center.
Resource
All the
center
raw materials and wood.
raw
Not fruit.
materials, not fruit.
Raw materials, not fruit.
Where's the nearest place I can get fruit?
You could come down to the farms. These are the farms next to the Orlando. Or you could go southward towards one of the houses where the rangers live. Or you could check out the anthills. But honestly, a better bet is coming northward.
So I think I'm going to go north to get some fruit. And return approximately to like the same area. Like once I start walking back into the desert, I'm going to start eating some fruit and throwing and seeing where, like if it happens all across the desert.
Interesting. Give me a perception check with advantage.
Twenty-one.
21? So after your second fruit, you get the hang of it. It's not about what fruit it is. It's not about how much you've eaten it. After it's been in contact with the crown for a few seconds, it is decomposing very quickly.
Alright. I'm going to do this. I'm going to scoop some of the soil off the ground, put it in a container. And I'm going to like text everyone I know.
Yeah.
Everyone here. Saying, there seems to be something wrong with the soil in the desert area. I have a sample, and I want to conduct some experiments. Any ideas?
And you text them?
Yeah.
Is this a group chat?
Why not?
It's now a group chat. It's been rolled into a group chat.
I respond, I think Fira also would be super interested in this. I will try to bring her to investigate.
That's fantastic. More people, the better.
I say something weird happened with like the trees near the ground as well. Like, it was kind of like brittle and stuff.
Sorry, let's give me a perception check.
17.
Okay. As you walk by the Aurora Dome and go towards the learning house to cross the bridge here, you see that the water is parting in ways that most people wouldn't recognize, but being somebody who lives half their life in water, you know that this is an unnatural wave. It's almost like at this point, it's going both southward and northward. Oh, sorry, southward and northward.
Trying to find the place. Does it seem like there's a place where waves are repeatedly splitting in that space?
Yeah, it feels like if this was the water surface, as if a sharp knife had just been pressed on it and it's starting to split from there. And just a little bit. It's not even deep enough for you to put a full finger in it. It's just a tiny bit. But you spot it.
Is Fira with me?
Yes.
Cool. I say, hey, check that out. I'm gonna go dive in. Just keep an eye out for me.
Don't be kidding me right now. You can't get me late for my first lesson.
Think of this as a different lesson. The universe is teaching us.
'Tis indeed bullying this way. You can't do this to me.
I take Fira's hand and I leap into the water with her.
Oh wait, sure, you're in the water now. What are you looking for?
I'm trying to figure out what the source is of the waves, and I'm trying to find the spot and then go down and check out the ground at the bottom and see if there is a source there or if it's more near the surface or what.
Give me an investigation check. And you are able to breathe underwater, is it?
Would you say that since this is a natural area, a nature check might also work?
Your ability to recall more about terrain, plants and animals, the weather, and natural cycles. No,
Okay.
not really.
That's an 18.
Okay, on investigation?
Yeah, with my +0.
Pretty good, pretty good. In fact, you can have Freya help you if you want, but an 18 is pretty good.
Sure, I'll
Yeah.
take Fira's help. Who knows? I so wanted that to be a nat 20. It wasn't.
You are able to dive in clean. You sail freely. You dive freely into the open sea. This is no problem. You get almost to the bottom with just the one dive in, but you see nothing holding the water apart like that. There is nothing stopping it. There is nothing interrupting the flow of the water. It's just on the surface. There seems to be two directions the water wants to go into.
I use my shaped water cantrip and I try to create my own wave in that spot and see if it splits and does the same thing.
You want to put it from under the water,
Yeah.
and you just want to levitate it so that it hits that part, right?
I do.
Yes, as soon as it hits the part, it splits and goes in two different directions.
I swim up to that spot and see what I can feel as my own largely watery body enters that place. And I go cautiously because it doesn't seem great if my body splits. So
Okay, yeah, you go up. In fact, you come up next to where you think there isn't a split, so you're a little off and careful. And you put a hand verily into where the split is. And your hand just is in the space, nothing happens to you.
I go check out the ground on both sides to see if there's anything in the earth on this side or that side on the shore.
You climb back up, I would say on this side, and Fira is with you, completely drenched. Her element is not water, and she's upset. She thinks you did this singularly to bully her and get her late for her first day of teaching, and that you're jealous because she's 15 and that she's a teacher and you're not. And she says all this to you, and she says, it's wrong.
Fira, you're right. I am jealous of you. Everybody's jealous of you. It's only natural. You're gonna have to deal with this a lot in your life, okay?
As you start to tell Fira a complete lie, the beam
What do you mean a
poles.
complete lie? Who's lying?
She doesn't believe it. The beam poles that broadcast information about the drops and anything that the headquarters at the Elder Tower from the Council of Elders wants to tell you, any emergencies, they all immediately light up and go red. The beam poles along the huts, in the low tree holes, by the farm, the ranch, and every other structure in Evertown pings urgently. Evertonians, get away from the water! Please, immediately, get away from the river! You all hear this announcement come from the beam poles around you, and you are where you are on the map, so you know what your D4s are. What do you want to do?
I get out of the water immediately.
Yep, you're on the bank, and Fira is counting at 2. What else?
I head towards this river here.
Mhm.
I don't go into it, but I want to see what's going on.
Okay, got it.
I'm running close to. Is this a bridge?
That's the delta. No, that's yeah, that wouldn't work. This is a bridge.
Okay, I start going towards the shore and as I keep an eye on it, I'm going to run towards the bridge.
Towards the bridge. Okay. Crem.
I walk towards this bridge, and that's towards the water basically.
Yeah.
As I walk, I pull out my phone and call out my roommate.
Okay.
Does it pick up?
Yes.
Hey, hello, are you with the elders?
You hear a lot of noise on the other side, but not a response, not to your question.
Okay. I hang up. I text Lo and say, hey, call me when you can.
Okay.
Continue.
You see 2 ticks.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
but
double-ticked
no
me?
response. He double ticked you. As you all arrived somewhere close to the river, you see that the river is parting unnaturally. That almost dent you saw has suddenly whooshed down, touched the bed of the water, and just started pulling the river apart. People are crowding on the banks just like you to see what is happening and possibly to try and stop this. But as they do this, a mangled knot of tree, animated and moving of its own accord, extends its branches into an Evertonian, piercing her chest and constricting her. You noticed, this is, all of you can see this. This is the record keeper from the resource center. She struggles to breathe and is dropped to the floor, where you see her eyes go hollow, her cheeks sink in, and she's bright blue hair that she shakes off and looks up, and you cannot recognize her. I need all of you to roll initiative.